Good day, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass 2023, Season 2. Right? In previous episodes, we learned about crafting dynamic templates. Next, we saw how you can set up various automations in ServiceDesk Plus. And finally, in the last episode, we saw how you can standardize the ITSM processes with the help of visual workflows and life cycles in ServiceDesk Plus. Right? And well, in today's session, we'll talk about strengthening the ITSM ecosystem with ServiceDesk Plus integrations, right? So ServiceDesk Plus comes with a bunch of ManageEngine integrations, right? Some of which include cloud-based performance monitoring applications, IT operations management applications, network monitoring and management solutions, advanced analytics solutions, and a lot more, right? So, but what will we talk about in today's session, right? So in today's session, we have picked 5 key integrations with ServiceDesk Plus, which will help us effectively manage Active Directory users, which will help us build cost-efficient help desk teams with the help of analytics-driven IT service management. It will also help us simplify incident management and optimize troubleshooting, along with identifying network issues proactively. And finally, we'll see how we can seamlessly streamline privilege access control. So all these 5 points will be taking care of 5 different products, 5 different integrations that are available within ServiceDesk Plus, right? So let's dive directly into the session and see how you can strengthen the ITSM ecosystem in your organization with the help of ServiceDesk Plus integrations, right? So first up, I'm inviting Bulin from Identity and Access Management team for ADManager Plus and AD Self-Service Plus integration with ServiceDesk Plus. Bulin, over to you.
Thank you, Aditya. I was pleasantly surprised to hear that a lot of you are already using ADManager Plus and AD Self-Service Plus. So some of the pointers that I will discuss today are not going to be news to you. But if it is, I would be really happy that I went away with some new information passed on. So my name is Bulin. I am a product expert at the Identity and Access Management team here at ManageEngine. And today I want to talk to you about 2 specific integrations and how they can help you make user provisioning, user management, identity management a matter of minutes, make it as simple and as clutter-free as possible. That is the agenda. Specifically, I want to talk to you about an integration with ADManager Plus. So before I get into what the integration can do, I want to ask you if the flow that I'm going to describe is something that sounds familiar to you. You have a HR team, your HR team processes a user request, a new employee, they send the information to a service desk tool, or they raise a request with an email request portal. Whatever it is, you receive a request in your service desk tool. You have to manually verify the information, pass it on. If your organization is sizable, you might have to pass it on to a different admin who's taking care of Active Directory management, and they will have to create the user account. And once that is done, once again, if you have specific integrations like M365 to make use of the Office applications, or maybe you work with a Google Workspace environment, then that will be a different admin or a different team, or at the very least, a different application, an admin console that you will need to log into to once again provision the same information that you did for creating a user account in Active Directory in the first place. So this process relies on a lot of different people doing the same task multiple times, one after the other, in different areas and different portals. So what ADManager Plus allows you to do is put it all in one place. It will give you a centralized console where, with just a couple of different attributes filled out, the application will create your user object with the right permissions, with the right OU placement, with the right department, manager values, anything that's required. It will take care of it, provision it in the right place, and also sync it across your integrations. Now, why am I talking about ADManager Plus? When you integrate with ServiceDesk Plus, all of these smart capabilities can also be performed from ServiceDesk Plus console itself. So when you create a user account after you integrate with ADManager Plus and ServiceDesk Plus, when you provision a user account from your ServiceDesk Plus console. All of these smart features will also be available to you from within your help desk view. And I'll show you how you can get something like that started. So once this integration is done, every time you create a user account, all of these smart capabilities, such as your license provisioning, your domain placement, your OU placement, all of that will be fetched from the template that's created in ADManager Plus, and all that features will go into effect even if you're just creating a user from your ServiceDesk Plus console. So that's the first integration that I want to talk to you about. And setting up this integration will take your user provisioning workload from something that looks like this. And of course, this is just the best case scenario. If you have multiple teams handling this, this is not even taking into account the amount of requests, the amount of follow-ups, and all of the time that is lost in between creating a user account. So this is just the amount of consoles that you might need to deal with on a bare minimum scale. And we'll take all of this and change it to just this one console, right? So how do you set something like this up? Let me go to the ServiceDesk demo instance that I'm using. All you need to do is set up an integration. And to do that, go to the admin tab, navigate all the way to the bottom where you have apps and add-ons, and select the integrations option. The very first integration available to you is ADManager Plus under the ManageEngine integrations. Click on settings and you'll be able to set up an integration in just a matter of seconds. All you need to know is where your ADManager Plus instance is hosted, the port, and the protocol settings. Now, this is, of course, a tight integration. So you'll need to go to your ADManager Plus instance as well, head on to the admin tab, navigate to integrations, and select your ServiceDesk Plus integration option, provision the same information here, and enable tight integration. Test your connection, make sure it works. And to get this option right here, to get your Active Directory management options here, make sure this checkbox is checked. Now, if you're worried about whether setting up an integration like this will give all of your technicians access to AD management actions, that is not the case. Every action that is available to you, this is, of course, a restrictive set. It's not all the actions that are available as part of ADManager Plus. But with this integration, all the actions that are available can be individually associated with specific templates and specific user roles. So specific technician roles, specific service or incident templates can be linked with each action. So only the users or only the technicians who need to make these changes will have this information displayed. So that is the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about. The second integration that I have for you is a AD Self-Service Plus integration. Now, AD Self-Service Plus is our identity security tool. It allows you to enable multi-factor authentication for your users, reduce the number of times your users input their passwords with single sign-on, and it also allows you to do something that's very important when we talk about user tickets, which is it allows them to self-service their password management and Active Directory management actions. So if your user is locked out, and I don't have to talk to you about how many locked out tickets you get. So when your users are locked out, with this tool in place, they will be able to reset their passwords themselves, not just change their passwords. They will be able to reset their passwords themselves, and they can do this securely because of the multi-factor authentication and the security options in place with the tool. So if you have the tool configured, setting up an integration will allow you to be notified every time your user is performing a self-service action. And we are all aware that as admins, there is no way for you to give up that control. So if you want to be notified every time a self-service action is happening, then you can simply set up an integration with AD Self-Service Plus, and you can choose to be notified when your self-service actions are being implemented. So your configuration or your policy can be different for different OUs and groups. The self-service actions that you want to allow your users to do will be different based on their level of privilege in the environment. But once you set up a policy, click on Advanced in the tool, and this will take you to a window that will allow you to choose to be notified when your users are performing these actions. and I'll show you that in just a minute. From ServiceDesk Plus, under the same integration section, you also have the AD Service Plus option, where you can go to settings, and just like we did for ADManager Plus, provide the same information. And in ADManager Plus, under the configuration tab, when you set up a policy, you have the option of triggering a notification. So under advanced, under notification, notify admin or manager, and you can create a request in ServiceDesk Plus to make sure, even though your user is doing all the work for you, you are still in the loop. So to wrap up, when you utilize the integrations that we have with these two tools, it allows you to get rid of the multiple different consoles that you normally deal with our tight integrations. It also gives you a couple of extra hands and gives you additional support with absolutely no escalation. So even though your technicians in ServiceDesk Plus have access to performing AD management actions, that is going to be non-elevated permissions in your actual AD environment. So you don't have to worry about whether you're actually giving additional permissions to your technicians. You also don't have to worry about any manual human error happening when you deal with multiple consoles, when you're repeating the same data in different consoles. There is the slightest chance that something might be missed. So when you automate all of that, you do not have to worry about that at all. And finally, no matter what your user is doing, no matter how many help desk tickets are cut down, you can still be notified of this action happening, and you can still have a record of it happening by simply enabling the notification integration with AD Self-Service Plus. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about today. If you have any questions, I will be here for the rest of the session. So just drop them in the Q&A option and I will address your questions. You can also write to me at bulin@manageengine.com and I will be more than happy to help. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Bulin. It was a nice session. Now, next up, we have Nicholas Nirmal from Analytics Plus. Nicholas, over to you.
Thank you, Aditya. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas, and I'm from the ManageEngine Analytics Plus team, and I lead the service delivery department. So during this episode, we are going to discuss on building high-value, cost-efficient help desk teams with analytics-driven IT service management, right? So here's the agenda for today's session. So we're going to cover about what is Analytics Plus, how to integrate ServiceDesk Plus into Analytics Plus, and how to leverage the out-of-the-box dashboards and reports to track the efficiency, how to enhance your help desk productivity through advanced analytics feature, and finally, how to cultivate a culture of data-driven decision-making, right? So let's get into the agenda. So what is Analytics Plus? Analytics Plus is ManageEngine's flagship IT analytics solution, which seamlessly integrates with your ServiceDesk Plus application. And the benefit of this integration lies in the fact that it can be configured within minutes, post which you will have immediate access to 400 plus predefined reports and dashboards, right? So let me show you how you can integrate the ServiceDesk Plus with Analytics Plus. So I have my ServiceDesk Plus up here, and all you have to do is just go to the settings and then scroll down under apps and add-ons. You have this integrations option, and you can click on the advanced analytics. So this is the integration page. So with respect to the ServiceDesk Plus integration, you have to configure the integration in the ServiceDesk Plus itself. And if you are someone who have already downloaded the application and installed it, you can just click on the setup analytics integration. Or if you are going to set up the Analytics Plus application, you can just click in here, which will help you to download the Analytics Plus setup. And once after you install the application, you can click on setup advanced analytics, right? So all you have to do is enter the details of the Analytics Plus application server, like the host name or the IP address. Say, for example, I'm entering the host name. And for authentication purpose, you need to click on OAuth. So, for authorization between the ServiceDesk Plus and Analytics Plus, we use the OAuth type. So if you click on the OAuth, you will be redirected to an API, an OAuth page where you have to enter the client name, the domain, and then the redirect URL that you will get from here. And upon entering all these details, select the web client, client type as the web-based, and then you will get to see a client ID and client secret generated. So you can copy those to the respective fields, and then you can mention the date since when you want to import the data into Analytics Plus. For example, if you're someone who's using the ServiceDesk Plus since 2021, and if you want to synchronize all the past 2 years data, you can select the respective date from here, and then you can click on Save and Sync. So upon saving the configuration and clicking on this option, you will get to see a workspace created in the Analytics Plus application, within which you can see the reports and dashboards that you get out of the box. But before I get into the Analytics Plus application, there are a few terminologies that I would like to get familiarized with. So first comes the workspace. Workspace is nothing but a dedicated place, or more like a folder, within which you can find the raw data that has been fetched from your ServiceDesk Plus, and on top of that, you can have the reports and dashboards, right? So that's more like a placeholder for all the views and data from your ServiceDesk Plus. Then comes the tables. So any data that you import into Analytics Plus will be stored in the form of rows and columns. So the raw data will be in the form of tables. And reports, as we know, the better representation of your data types, your data sets from the ServiceDesk Plus for better decision making, we named as reports. And dashboard are nothing but a collection of report in a single pane of window. Right. So with that being said, let's get into the bigger picture. So how are we going to leverage the out-of-the-box dashboards and reports to track the efficiency of your service desk? So for this, I have a report. This is one of the out-of-the-box reports. And you can find more reports under the reports section. So, you would get 400 plus predefined reports. And under dashboard section, you will have a dashboard where you have like a list of reports put together in a single pane of window, and the data section holds the raw data which are being imported from your ServiceDesk Plus. So all these reports and dashboards are built on top of this section, right? So coming back to this resolution time comparison report, so I'm going to correlate this with tracking the efficiency. So this report compares the average resolution time for the previous quarter versus the current quarter, right? So, and it's being grouped by the technician. So if you look at this particular report, Henry Victor seems to have the highest average resolution time, which is not a good sign here, right? So maybe if I would like to know why his average resolution is pretty high, I can just click on the data point and I can drill down to any aspect that I would like to look into. So for here, I would be interested to look, how experienced is he? But it looks like he seems to be a fresher. So maybe he needs more training in order for him to keep his resolution time intact. So what we can do is we can probably put him for training and continue to observe this trend. Whether is he really improving after the training, or is he require any sort of special training to be given to him, or we need to ask him to take up any additional trainings, right? So this way you could track the efficiency of your technicians in your help desk, and similarly you have more reports that could closely correlate to your requirements in terms of tracking the efficiency, right? So with that being said, let's move on to the next topic, which is enhancing your help desk productivity through advanced analytics feature. So one of the advanced analytics features that we have is the Ask Zia. This is an artificial intelligence that we have embedded with the product. So if you want to create any custom report, all you have to do is just strike up a conversation, more like asking a question to your personal assistant, right? So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ask the Zia to give me information on the assets purchased probably by the procurement age. Yeah, right. So I just typed in assets purchased by procurement age, and it is intelligent enough to segregate the number of assets based on the age tier. So almost most of the assets, like more number of assets that I've procured has a longer waiting time, which is more than a year. And I have, then comes 0 to 6 months, and we have around 100 assets for which the procurement time is like 1 year. So this is a clear indicator that I need to plan my asset purchase ahead of time, so that there's no gaps in terms of replacing the assets, and the productivity of the service desk is not being impacted. Similarly, you can make use of this option to create more custom reports with just asking a question to it, right? So that's one of the analytics, advanced analytics feature, but we have a lot more feature, and you can send me an email if you're interested to know more about it, right? So then comes the final topic for this session, cultivating a culture of data-driven decision making. So now that we have created a few reports, and assuming that we put together as a dashboard, so this is one of the technician-based dashboard where we talk about the various metrics. So it is not advisable to share this dashboard to each and every technician, assuming that we have thousands of technicians working in a big organization. So to make this easier and also effective, I can go to share, and I have an option called publish view, which will help me create a link. I can select the access as access without login. All I have to do is just copy this and go to the ServiceDesk Plus right here, and go to the dashboard section, right? And all I have to do is just go in here, new widget, and I'll select new external widget. I can name this dashboard as Analytics Plus. All I can do is just put in the link here and click on add. So now the Analytics Plus dashboard is being embedded in my ServiceDesk Plus. So I don't really have to log into Analytics Plus on a daily basis. Rather, I can embed this in the login page or the landing page of the technician, so they are kept updated on their metrics, right? So with that being said, we have come to the end of the session. I hope the session was informative and helpful. If you're really interested to know more about it, feel free to send me an email on the email address that you see on the screen. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Nicholas. I'm pretty sure it was a very informative session for all our audience. Now, next up is Endpoint Central integration. Now, for that, we have Basil Hudson with us. So, Basil, over to you.
Good afternoon, all. Welcome to STP Masterclass 2023. So today, I'm going to discuss about Endpoint Central integration with ServiceDesk Plus, and I'm Basil. I'm a product expert with Endpoint Central. I'm been with Endpoint Central for the past 6 years, and I'm helping the customers with the implementation and training. So before proceeding further with the integration topic, I just want to know whether most of you will know about Endpoint Central. For those who are not aware of Endpoint Central, I'll like to give a small intro about Endpoint Central. So ManageEngine Endpoint Central is a web-based application for endpoint administration and management. This application enables administrators to manage endpoints from a central point of console, and it also comprises of features like software deployment, patch management, service pack installation, asset management, OS deployment, remote control, configuration, system tools. Apart from these basic modules, we also have security add-ons such as vulnerability management, device control, and we also have browser control, anti-ransomware. So there are a lot of security modules also being embedded with Endpoint Central. So on the whole, endpoints can be a desktop, mobile, tablet, server, laptop, TV, IoT devices, or rugged devices. And it can be of many platforms. It can be Mac, or it can be Windows, Linux, everything we support from Endpoint Central. So the agenda for today is, what are the benefits of integrating Endpoint Central with ServiceDesk Plus, and how to integrate ServiceDesk Plus with Endpoint Central, and how to start remote control to a user machine from SDP, which is ServiceDesk Plus, and how to deploy a software application from a service request, and how to deploy software based on approval. So before moving on to the integration part, let me discuss about the benefits. So benefits such as better end user experience for incident management, and even a non-tech user and admins can perform IT management tasks, and it will help you to reduce the downtime for basic IT requirements in distributed workforce. And you can take advanced remote control for roaming users as well as those users which are connected with Endpoint Central and SDP integration. So features such as asset data. So whatever assets are available with Endpoint Central, the data will be posted to ServiceDesk Plus. So there is no need of installing probe or getting the data from the network. So by default, once the integration is enabled, you will get the asset data. And you can also leverage the Endpoint Central activities like installing and uninstalling the software, running scripts and configuration templates, and you can take advanced remote control. And you can also log a help desk request using the Endpoint Central agent. So these are the features available with the integration. We'll move on to the setting up of integration and how to set up the integration with Endpoint Central on-prem. So to set up the integration, we need two key features, which are API keys from both Endpoint Central Server and ServiceDesk Plus, and as well as you need to choose what are the features to be integrated. So let me go to the console and I'll explain it from there. So this is my Endpoint Central console. I can go to admin and I can go to API key generation and I can get the API keys from here. So just make a copy of it in a notepad. We will use it in the future. And then you can go to Service Desk Plus console and go to the user account and click on generate auth token. And you can create this auth token and save it in the notepad. So once the auth tokens and API keys are being generated from each and every console, you can go back to the Endpoint Central console and go to admin and go to Service Desk Plus settings, and you can modify this, and you can provide the Service Desk Plus server IP address or the host name, and then the port number, and you have to choose the protocol, and then you can provide the API key. So this is the auth token which is being generated from Service Desk Plus server. So you have to provide the key here, and then you have to go to Service Desk Plus server and click on admin and go to apps and add-ons and go to integration and then click on UEM products. And you have to choose Endpoint Central, and then you have to provide the server name and the server port number and the protocol. So now you might have created an auth token from the Endpoint Central. So you have to provide that auth token here, and then you can integrate. So this is how the integration will happen. And once the successful integration happens, you will be able to see the entire Endpoint Central console-based options will be available. And as well as if you are using a UEM version of Endpoint Central, you'll be able to see the MDM module as well. So both options will be available. That's not all about the integration. So we also have certain advanced features. I will explain that. So once the integration is done, we will be able to use the Endpoint Central agent to leverage the service desk functionality. For example, if the end user want to raise a ticket, he can just right click on the Endpoint Central agent and he can raise a ticket. And similarly, if you want to launch a Service Desk Plus portal, he can launch it directly from the Endpoint Central agent. And apart from this, we have several functions which can be leveraged based on this integration. I'll explain one by one. So imagine that someone has raised a ticket. You can go to the request, and normally what we will do is you'll go to the ticket, and if it's something regarding an uninstallation or reinstallation of the application, you will be accessing the computer using a third-party remote control tool or RDP, and then you will be doing your activities. But here, you don't need to worry about anything. All you need to do is you have to go to the ticket, and you can go to custom action. And if you want to take a remote control, you can take a remote control. Or if this ticket is based on software uninstallation and installation, you can directly install the softwares and uninstall the softwares from this option. So because this has been integrated with Endpoint Central, as you're aware, that Endpoint Central has a complete software deployment suite. So from there, you will be able to get all your softwares and you'll be able to install it. And apart from this, if you want to take a remote session, you can take a remote session. Or if you want to access the computer command prompt or task manager, you can access it directly from here. And if you want to restart a computer or shut down a computer or lock a computer, you can do all these activities from here. And as well as if you want to run a script. So as you're aware that Endpoint Central has a lot of scripts option available. So all the script will be embedded here and you will be able to use those scripts and you can deliver those scripts to the computers. And even if you want to add a script, you will be able to directly add the script. So this is how you will be able to leverage all your Endpoint Central based activities through a simple ticket and without even going to multiple tools or multiple options, you'll be able to fix the issues and you'll be able to close the ticket then and there. And apart from this, we also have one more option of handling application deployment through self-service portal. Those who are already using Endpoint Central will aware of self-service portal. So self-service portal is nothing but a small portal will be given to the end user. So when they go to the computer, they can open the portal and they will be able to see whatever application the administrator has published and they can install those applications. And once they install the application will get installed on their computer. But here, when we use this integration method, we can also leverage a request option. So the end user can request for an application from the self-service portal. So this is how the self-service portal looks like. So the end user can request it. And once the request has been sent, it will reach our Endpoint Central server. And from there, it will goes to the service desk server. And from there, the administrator will be either approving it or denying it. So once it approves, and it will reach our Endpoint Central server, and then it will reach the endpoints where the end user will be able to install the application. So you can see it on the right. The last one is install. That means already it has been approved and it has been installed on the computer. And you can also see other options here, request. So someone has already requested and you can also see requested option and rejected option. So that means someone has requested, but the administrator has rejected. So the flow behind that is the end user is sending a request now, stating his reason, and he can send out the request. And once the request is being sent out from the end user computer, it will reach the service desk console and he can go to the pending request and the administrator can either approve it or deny it. So this is how you can leverage the self-service portal using service desk integration. So that's all about the integration. If you have any doubts, kindly email to basil.ss@manageengine.com or you can post your queries here. We will be able to assist you.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Now, next up, we have OpManager application. So for that, we have Nikhil Frederick with us. So over to you, Nikhil.
Thank you, Aditya. So, hi all, welcome to STP Masterclass 2023. Today we'll learn how you can streamline your asset discovery process, along with how you can seamlessly sync your configuration items as well as map them with the help of ManageEngine OpManager as your ServiceDesk Plus on-premise integration. This is the agenda for today's session, which will cover OpManager, its overview and benefits, steps to enable the integration, and two key integration functionalities, which include configuration item relationship syncing and mapping, and automated OpManager alarm sync as ServiceDesk Plus tickets. I'm Nikhil Frederick, product consultant for Item Suite of Products, and I'll be the presenter for today's session. First, let us hear about OpManager. So what is OpManager basically? OpManager is a unified network monitoring solution which is designed specifically to oversee in real time the health, fault, and performance of your configuration items present in your network infrastructure. So it ensures that your network stays uninterrupted from any network anomalies. Also, OpManager leverages AI and ML workflows, provides a user-friendly UI, customizable dashboards, and around-the-clock alerting system for your configuration items. So why OpManager needs to be integrated with your ServiceDesk Plus solution, and what are the integration benefits you receive? So with OpManager's automated configuration item discovery functionality, you can always ensure that your CMDB stays up to date. Also, you can enhance your asset management capabilities by proactively detecting any network irregularities or anomalies by leveraging its real-time monitoring of asset health and performance. Some of the key integration benefits include automatic configuration item discovery, which ensures an up-to-date CMDB, topographical view of L2 CIs or L2 configuration items along with mapping, and automated alarms to ticket transition in your ServiceDesk Plus console. So now let us look at how you can set up this particular integration. First, let me show you how you can enable OpManager from your ServiceDesk Plus console. To do that, first you need to download and install OpManager. Once OpManager is installed and you've configured it, go to the ServiceDesk Plus console, click on Admin, just scroll down and you can find apps and add-ons. Below that, you can see integrations. Here you can find OpManager. Just click on the settings. Just put in the server name of your OpManager solution, the port number where your OpManager solution is running, and click on test connection and save. So once you do that, the 50% of the integration is complete. And to do the other 50%, you must configure ServiceDesk Plus in the OpManager's console. To do that, in the OpManager console, go to settings, click on third-party integrations. Here you can find ServiceDesk Plus. Click on configure. Here you need to enter the server name of your ServiceDesk Plus console and the port number where it is running. You can enter the technician key. So let me show you how you can get this technician key. From your ServiceDesk Plus console, click your user profile, click on generate auth token, and here click on generate, and you can see an auth token is generated. Just copy this and paste it in the space provided over here. Next is the ticket setting. So what should ServiceDesk Plus do when an alert reoccurs in OpManager? Whether it should create a new ticket or reopen a closed ticket. You can choose anyone based on your requirements. And here are the CMDB settings. So you can enable all these for smooth and swift asset synchronization process. Just click on the consent message and click on sync now. So as soon as you click on sync now, all the assets will be immediately synchronized with ManageEngine OpManager, and you can start monitoring your assets for health and performance in real time. Just click on save and exit. So this is about the integration process. Next, we look at some of the key integration capabilities. The first one is the automatic OpManager asset sync with ServiceDesk Plus. Second is the building automated support workflows for logging tickets. Next is the autonomous or automatic configuration item relationship syncing and mapping. Next is the seamless transition of OpManager alarms to ServiceDesk Plus tickets, and establishing ticket profiles for group of CIs. Today, we'll be looking at two key integration capabilities, which include the configuration item relationship syncing and mapping, and transition of OpManager alarms as ServiceDesk Plus tickets. First, let us look at the configuration item relationship syncing and mapping. So with this functionality, you can effortlessly view the topographical view of all the interconnected configuration items present in your network infrastructure, which displays all the nodes, their interlinked layers, the port-to-port connections, etc. So this will be helpful for network technicians during troubleshooting process of any of your configuration items. To do this, in the OpManager console, click on Maps. Here you can find Layer 2 maps. Just click on the plus symbol provided here, provide the layer 2 map name, the seed device address, the start IP, end IP, provide the credentials, and click on Discover. So as soon as you click on Discover, OpManager will immediately discover the assets that are between the IP range which you've mentioned, and which is connected to the particular seed device which you have mentioned. So once this is done, it will draw a map. So that map will be saved over here. You can just click on it and you can view it. As you can see, this is a seed device, and these two are the devices that are connected to it. So as soon as this map is drawn in OpManager, it will be immediately reflected in the CMDB of your ServiceDesk Plus. So let me show you that. In the UI, click on CMDB. Since the seed device which I have chosen is a switch, let me search for switch. So here you can find the switch, just click on it, click on relationships tab, and you can see the same diagram reflected over here. The seed device and 2 devices connected to it. So as I mentioned before, it would be helpful for technicians to for troubleshooting. Suppose if there's an anomaly in this particular seed device, the technician will immediately know that these 2 devices are connected to it, and these 2 also may get affected because of that, and they can take proactive actions. So this is about the relationship mapping. Next is the automated sync of OpManager alarms and ServiceDesk Plus tickets. So you can establish notification profiles in OpManager to generate tickets, which will facilitate the automatic conversion of alarms to tickets in ServiceDesk Plus platform. So this ensures that you receive prompt notification in case any irregularity pops up, so that you can swiftly resolve those issues. So whenever a ticket is resolved in ServiceDesk Plus, the corresponding alarm is also closed in OpManager, and it works vice versa. Let me show you this. In the OpManager console, click on Settings, click on Notification Profiles, click on Add, click on Log a Ticket, and you can provide the category, subcategory, the ticket details, click on Next. Here you can choose the criteria, whether all criteria or any specific criteria which you require. Here you can select the severity, whether it should be attention, trouble, or critical, or all the 3. Just click on Next. Here you can choose the devices for which devices you need these notification profiles to be created. Click on Next. Here you can provide the time window. Click on Next. Finally, review the selection and click on Save. So as soon as you click on Save, OpManager will throw an alarm if any irregularity or if any anomaly is detected in the devices which you've selected. And that anomaly will be immediately reflected as tickets in your ServiceDesk Plus. So let me show you that. In the ServiceDesk Plus console, click on Requests. Here you can find all the requests that have fallen. So these are all some of the alarms in OpManager that are given as tickets. So for this particular ticket, it's mentioned as device not responding, probably down or busy. So this particular switch, which I've created, is in the OpManager. It threw an alarm saying that the device is not responding or it's down. So immediately it's reflected as ticket here, so that the technician can immediately know that something is wrong with this particular switch, and they can find the root cause of it immediately. So once this ticket is closed over here, the alarm is also closed. So that is all. Thank you for your time. If you have any queries, please reach us at opmanagersupport@manageengine.com.
Thanks a lot, Nikhil. So after that, finally, we have Niresh with PAM 360 team. So Niresh, over to you.
Greetings, my name is Naresh Swami, and I work as a product consultant with the ManageEngine PAM team. Right, so before we dive into this integration, I understand from the poll results that most of you are fairly new to ManageEngine PAM 360. Right, so based on that, let me just quickly introduce PAM 360 as a product and its UI so that you familiarize with how things work before we dive deep into this particular integration. So ManageEngine PAM 360 is ManageEngine's enterprise PAM software, which natively integrates with ServiceDesk Plus, right? So using PAM 360, enterprises can secure their enterprise privileged identities, which can include certificates, keys, and goes without saying, passwords to privileged endpoints like Windows domain accounts, Windows accounts, any Linux root accounts, or any type of privileged identity can be stored securely in PAM 360. Moreover, these privileged identities can be shared across the enterprise based on access controls that can be fully customizably set based on the organizational policies. Right. So let me quickly take you to the UI. So here, this is where I log in. Let me quickly log in as an administrator. Right. So this is the dashboard. Here you will see statistics based on the passwords and the privileged identities that are stored in your PAM console. And you will also see policy violations, expired passwords, any customizable stat that you want to look at based on your passwords that are stored in your PAM console. Now, these passwords and privileged identities can be onboarded from your local directories. These directories include Active Directory, LDAP, or your AWS instances, right? So these types of privileged identities can be onboarded based on your local directories. Apart from that, they can also be manually added if let's say there is a particular endpoint which only needs to be there in the console temporarily, and there is only one particular endpoint that is being onboarded. So you can manually also add that particular privileged endpoint. And once these endpoints are onboarded onto PAM360, these endpoints can be grouped, and certain access policies can be set for this particular resource groups, right? And these resource groups or resources or even particular accounts in a resource can be shared to your privileged users who need privileged access to these credentials. Now, these privileged users, as you see in this tab, can also be onboarded from your local directories and grouped into user groups. And based on the user or the user group, access is shared across the console. Right. Now, apart from that, PAM360 also allows you to house your certificates, your server-side certificates, your network certificates, your website certificates, any type of certificate that is established in your enterprise network can be discovered and deployed. Right. So let me quickly dive into the necessity of this particular integration between PAM360 and ServiceDesk Plus. Right. So there will be times when a technician might need access to a privileged endpoint to perform a particular task. Right. So at that point in time, what usually happens is that a user requests access via an email and a ticket is generated in the ITSM tool. Now, this ticket is assigned to an administrator. After this, the administrator has to manually log into the ITSM tool, validate the ticket request, and then move into the PAM tool, allot that particular endpoint that the technician or the requester needs to the user. And once the task is performed, the admin needs to manually log in back to the PAM tool, revoke that particular access from the user, and has to update the status of the request in the ITSM tool. So there's a lot of manual admin overhead that is going on at this point. Now, in order to avoid that, this integration solves this particular problem. So as usual, when a user requests access via an email, a ticket ID is generated, right? And the administrator just has to validate the ticket in the ITSM tool. Everything else will be completely automated in the PAM's front. So what essentially happens is that the PAM tool, as it integrates with ServiceDesk Plus, will validate the ticket ID of that particular request in order to allot access accordingly, right? And based on a particular time period that you can set using access controls in PAM360 through a request release workflow, this particular access can also be revoked after that time period ends. So this will ensure that there are no standing privileges left for any kind of temporary user or any third-party user or even employees who need only temporary access to a particular resource up to a limit. Right. So let's see how to set up the integration firstly. So as we saw, let me just quickly log in again. Right. So as this happens, let me quickly go to ServiceDesk Plus. So you see the user profile. So here you can generate an auth token for this particular user. So once this auth token is generated, you can copy that, move on to PAM360, go to the admin tab. As you can scroll down, you see integrations. Under integrations, click on ticketing system and you'll see ServiceDesk Plus, right? So here you can give the technician key, which is the auth token, and you can provide the ticketing system URL. Fairly simple and straightforward, just like the other integrations that you saw today. And like I said, this integration will use the ticket ID to validate the particular access request. So if in case there is a change ID that needs to be validated, you can also enable that. Right. For now, let's keep it as a ticket ID. Apart from this, you can also set up advanced configurations. Right. So here you see that as of now, if a ticket status is not closed, the access will be allotted to that user. But let's say I want to create another criteria where the requester is not administrator. So only then the access will be allotted, only if the requester is not administrator. So let us keep it as status is not closed for now for this particular session, right? Now, before I show you how the integration works, let me quickly show you how it will work without the integration. Let me disable this, move on to my resources where my privileged endpoints are stored, and I will select this particular Win10 resource, right? And when I click on show password, it will immediately show the password, right? But once I enable the integration, that will not happen. Let me quickly go ahead and enable it and go back to resources and go to Win10. And I click on show password, it will immediately show a dialog box on which I will be prompted to enter the ticket ID, right? So let's go ahead and generate a ticket ID on ServiceDesk Plus. So under requests, create a new request, right? Let's say the requester name is administrator and subject need access to Win10 for 30 minutes, right? And I'm going to add a request. So once the request is added, a ticket ID is generated, which in this case is number 13. Now I go ahead to my PAM console. Let me quickly refresh and click on admin and give 13 here, right? And I press proceed. Only then the password will be shown to the requester or the user, right? Now, apart from this integration does not stop here. Once a ticket ID is generated, using this ticket ID, I can take remote sessions to that particular endpoint directly from ServiceDesk Plus. So all I need to do is go to custom actions, right? And I click PMP resources. So PMP is Password Manager Pro, which is basically another product in the PAM suite of products of ManageEngine. Basically, the setup is going to remain the same across Password Manager Pro or PAM 360. So let me click PMP resources, and I have access to this particular Linux resource, right, as of now. And I'm going to open a remote desktop session. Sorry, an SSH session concept. It's a Linux device. So let me open an SSH session. Let me say need access as of now, and I press connect. It will launch an SSH session to that particular PMP sent 7 resource. As you can see in PAM 360, PMP sent 7 is stored here, right? And under the type Linux. Now, so that is almost 80% of the integration opportunities that PAM 360 offers and ServiceDesk Plus offers to each other. Now, apart from this, let me take you to our demo website. So here, under admin tab, you see SSH SSL configuration. So as I told you before, certificates, SSL TLS certificates can also be stored in PAM 360. They can be discovered and stored. So once they are stored, PAM 360 can track the expiration of such certificates and can also track if that particular certificate is vulnerable to any sort of vulnerability, like a poodle vulnerability and such sort, right? So here under SSH SSL configurations, if I go to tickets and I press enable and I choose ServiceDesk Plus and give the technician key and the server URL as we are used to by now, right? Once that is done, I can click on create ticket for SSL certificate expiry. If I do this, then a ticket will be automatically created every single time a certificate expires, right? And apart from that, I can also enable create ticket for SSL vulnerability. That is, if a vulnerability is detected in a certificate in PAM 360, it will automatically create a service ticket in ServiceDesk Plus for the technicians to take care of it, right? So that is the third part of the integration. And that essentially brings us to the end of this integration session. And let's do a quick recap. So we saw how you can validate access requests and allot remote access to users based on the ticket ID that is generated on the access request, right? And apart from that, we also saw how to take remote logins directly to the machine from ServiceDesk Plus without moving to PAM 360. Apart from that, we also saw how to automatically generate tickets for certificate expiries and certificate vulnerabilities. So that brings us to the end of this integration. Thank you so much for your attention and time.
All right. Thanks a lot, Naresh, for this session. Now let's do a quick recap. So in today's session, we saw how we can effectively manage Active Directory users and provide a great end user experience. Then we saw how we can build cost-efficient help desk teams with analytics-driven IT service management. Then finally, we saw how you can simplify incident management and optimize troubleshooting. And after that, we saw how you can identify network issues proactively and deal with them with the help of OpManager. And finally, we saw how you can seamlessly streamline privilege access control with our PAM 360 solution, right? So with that, we come to the end of today's session. So in case you think of something else, and in case some other question pops up in your head regarding today's presentation, please feel free to send it to us at hello@servicedeskplus.com. For now, we'll close the session. Thank you for joining today's session again. And this is Aditya Oswal signing off.